Hello and welcome back to Exploring Computer Science with Mr. Watts. This project we're going to talk about a simple board game that I have created. I'd love to show you how it works. Maybe you want to do a board game and this might inspire you. I'll mention there's a different way to do this that I have in a separate tutorial. Watch for that one as well. This one uses tiles to represent, I call them tiles, they're sprites, to represent different locations on the board. So we have a start tile right here. I'm going to move this down here to make it make more sense. I have something called tile 1, tile 2. Notice as I click through these, they highlight in order. There's 5, 6, 7, and then the end. So note the tiles need to be named carefully. They could be button, they could be stone, they could be whatever you want it to be, but they need to be followed by numbers, and those numbers have to be in the order you want to travel around the board for this example. All of these tiles, the start tile, the end tile, and then the numbered tiles, have no code whatsoever unless you want to put a go-to in the beginning or a show or hide. But generally those are just a name and a picture somewhere on the board. All of the interesting thing happens in the character sprites. In this one, we'd love it if the cat would start at the beginning, and when we click the dice, it would move the right number of steps. And in fact, that did move 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 steps. If I click it again, 6 is way beyond the end, and it makes it to the winning square. Very basic. Your board game would obviously be longer if you're using dice to get there. But the concept is the same. So I'll show you the key commands to do this, and I'm going to break it down just using these things that are listed in the cat's code. Here's the cat's finished code that we're going to be getting to, but for now, let's just go down here. First command is the glide 1 second to, and then we can pick any of our sprites. I could pick start tile. If I click this, the cat takes a second to get there. If I then say tile 1, it jumps there, and you can see we can simulate moving by simply gliding from tile to tile. So that's the easy part, is using a glide command. The next trick comes by using the join command. Join takes two pieces of text, even if one's a number, and it smashes them together and then uses that. And the trick here is to get text that adds up to the name of a tile. And so since our tiles are named tile 1, tile 2, tile 3, joining tile with some number would get us to the right place. Matter of fact, I'm going to pull that out and just type the number 1 in here. And if I join tile 1, you can see that says tile 1. I could put the number 2 in here and click, and now in the box below it says tile 2. That's the name of the tile we may want to go to. So if I were to create a variable called my tile, we have one here. In this case, I actually made that a local variable because I was anticipating having multiple characters that are running around this board. And so this my tile is for this sprite only. The sprite is the cat. I'm going to put that back in here. If let's grab a set my tile. I need one of these right here. Set my tile to 0. Actually, let's set it to 1 and double click that so it happens. My tile is 1. If I click, put that inside here and click, it should go to tile 1. If I put tile 5 in here, click that, it says tile 5. I glide 1 second to tile 5, and in fact it went to tile 5. So Those two commands work together to help us go to anywhere we want by counting. And now, if we want to move one turn at a time, I'm going to take this. Let's set it back down to 0. So my tile's at 0. That would mean we'd be at the starting screen, maybe, the starting tile. If I change my tile by 1 and then glide to that mathematical location, tile should go from 0 to 1. Tile 1, I glide to it, that should take me to the next square, and you see that the variable changed, as did the location. If I click that again, I'm off to tile 2, I'm off to tile 3. So there we go. If the tiles were out of order, we would go in the wrong order. So it doesn't matter where the tile is, as long as it's got the number, it goes there. So I'm going to put that back where it belongs, so this will look right. So that's the guts, that's the meat of what's going on here. Now let's look at the real code that we have, and hopefully it will make sense to you. At the beginning of the game, we set our size. We go to the front layer. That's actually kind of important. Did you notice how the cat passed beneath one of the other tiles before? We want that cat up on the front layer. Matter of fact, I'm going to move that down here. Every time I move, I'm going to go to the front layer. Set size to 60%. Set the my tile to 0. If your tiles happen to start at 1 instead of some home screen, start screen, you could start at 1. So when I hit the green flag, I'd expect the cat to go to the start tile, the very first one we said. And now when we get the instructions from someone else to move, and the dice in this case is telling us how much to move, we go to the front later. We repeat the costume number of dice 1. That's a way for the cat to figure out what the dice value is, the die value is of dice 1. If we had multiple players, multiple dice, we might have a math equation here, the costume number of dice 1 plus the costume number of dice 2. We'll leave it simple here. We only have 7 numbered tiles, so we have to have an if statement to make sure we don't go past the end. And so that's what this is about. We only have 7 tiles, so that number should be 7. If we were to add an 8th tile by duplicating that tile and then put that right there, then that would say that we'd have to change this number in our code to 8 so that we could get to that tile. I'll leave that way for just a moment. And then the things that we've already seen: change your tile by 1, glide to that new place, wait for a moment to make it feel kind of natural, and then that's about it for moving. This else is about what happens once we run out of tiles. If the tile happens to be 8 or higher, then we're going to glide to the end tile, say that we won, and we can be done with it. We don't have to keep gliding there over and over again in case we roll higher than gets us exactly to that. So let's try that out, watch it run. You can see it going through the different tiles. We're up to 5. We'll get to 2 more, and anything, the 1 took us to that new tile 8. And then no matter what we get, we're going to be done here. And the script has stopped. So there's moving around a board using numbered tiles or stones, whatever you want to call them. Great if you're making your own board. Not so great if you're using a board game that you're copying an image from. And so that's a subject for a different video. But hopefully this made sense to you. Pretty simple way to move about tiles.